It has been an extraordinary night for the UK Independence Party, which has made huge gains so far in the local elections, recording its best ever set of election results.
Leader Nigel Farage claims UKIP is now the country's third political party. The Deputy Leader Paull Nuttal is with us now. Very good morning to you.
Morning.
You are smiling this morning.
I'm tired, very tired, haven't been to bed yet.
Because you were in South Shields?
I was in South Shields last night, smiling, you know. South Shields was an exceptional result. I mean, we started from 0%, never stood there before, and went to 24% and finished second. So quite a sensational result.
Now, we've already spoken to all the other political parties. I won't use the phrase the main political parties. That's in question a little bit now. But what were people telling you on the doorstep about their reasons for turning to you? Because Labour, the Lib Dems and the Tories are just saying it's pure protest, nothing else. It's just almost like the joker in the pack, we'll tick there. What were they telling you that was different from that?
Well, what we're finding is that we are leading the political argument in this country. You've noticed how the political parties have moved on the issue of the European Union and Cameron with the referendum. You notice how they're talking more about immigration now, which they haven't done in the past. UKIP is leading, driving really the political arguments in this country. And I do accept that part of our vote is a protest. I accept that. But the difference is, when people were voting Liberal Democrat 5 years ago, nobody ever knew what the Liberal Democrats stood for. They do now, and they don't like it. Everyone knows what UKIP stands for because it does exactly what it says on the tin. And I think we've got a very strong platform to go on and win those European elections next year.
Interesting you say that you accept that you are partly protest. I mean, how much? And does that, you know, because if you accept it's a protest vote, things can change, particularly over the next 2 years coming up to a general election. So therefore, that may not convert into what you really want, which is a member of Parliament.
Well, I accept that a percentage is a protest, but
what percentage?
Well, we don't know, but I suspect it's quite small by talking to people on the doorsteps, because you know we're speaking the language of the people, whether it's on crime, the EU, immigration, the environment. People like what we have to say, and I suppose in many ways it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the more we go up in the polls, the more people see us on TV shows like this, the more people like what we have to say, the more people vote for us.
The truth is, of course, and this is what your rivals say, is that it is one thing to cast a vote in a local election when you know that you're not in control even of that local council, just one person amongst a group. It is an entirely different thing to entrust you with some form of power, to put you in, say, as an MP, where you're making decisions and you have to have policies. Now, everyone we're speaking to is saying, once you guys are being put under scrutiny over what you will actually do about the things that affect people's lives. This morning, for example, we're talking about midwives, shortages of midwives, a report from the WI. What is your policy on something specific like that? Every other political party would have their own line on what they would do. So midwives, how would you invest in the NHS?
Well, we would invest in the NHS by basically doing away with a lot of the red tape and a lot of the bureaucracy. You know, under New Labour, the NHS exploded in terms of management and people being stuffed in offices. And for every nurse, there became a manager. What we would like to see is an NHS which is streamlined, which is focused on doctors and not bureaucracy. And we think there are massive savings to be made in that area. But can I just move on to one point as well about these elections? You know, we've got sound policies for local government as well. You know, we want to give people local referendums on local issues. We don't whip our councillors, so our councillors are there to serve the local community. We're opposed to HS2. We want to protect the Greenbelt. So we've got policies, sound policies, right across the board, whether it's in local or national or even European.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because as you say, you're on the TV now, and as Charlie says, you know, you will be in focus now. For example, your vetting procedures. There have been some very embarrassing incidents in the weeks running up to this election. Are you changing those vetting procedures? Do you know what your councillors are up to, or the people who are standing up for these council elections?
Well, let me put it in perspective. We've had over 1,700 candidates. The Conservative Party handed a dossier into a national newspaper last Friday, looking into the private lives of our candidates, scouring through Twitter and Facebook, and you might say that's scrutiny. I actually think it's a smear campaign because they're playing the man and not the ball, and that's never been done in local elections before. No other political party has come under the scrutiny we have, and I tell you what, but if we return that favour, if we return that favour and did exactly the same to the other parties, I'm sure we will find more skeletons and more scandal, but we won't do that because we're better than that. We're grown up and we want to fight this on policy and principle.
And will you look at your candidates more closely then? then or not? You're happy with the way it's going?
Well, of course we do. We trust our branches, and we've had a small number of problems with a small number of candidates. But actually, if the other parties had the same scrutiny that we've had, which is unprecedented in the history of local politics, and actually I think in many ways it's bad for local politics, because what it will do is it will not encourage people to stand in the future. Because look, these are local candidates. They're not doing it for remuneration. They're not doing it because they want a career in politics. They're just wanting to stand up for their local community, and it's bad for local politics. The other parties have these problems.
Can I just ask? All the political parties are busy sort of putting distance between themselves and you. Who are you closest to?
Well, it could be any of them, to be perfectly honest with you, because I think we cross the whole political spectrum. What we're talking about is common sense. And I think our policies, whether it's on crime, whether it's on immigration, whether it's on the EU, actually aren't left, aren't right. They're just quite frankly common sense. And it doesn't matter whether you live in Bootle or Buckingham. We all think the same.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Paull Nuttal, thank you for your time.